I never thought a smear of red lipstick would destroy my marriage, until I found it glowing on the passenger seat of my husband's car at 2 a.m. I'm Jordan Ellis, 35, corporate event planner, type A to the bone. My husband, Matt, is an operations manager at a logistics firm, a steady guy who's built his identity on providing. For the last 8 months, his overtime shifts have crept later and later. Quarter-end crunch, he'd say, kissing my forehead as he grabbed a travel mug and hustled out the door. I believed him because that's what good wives do, until that lipstick. Tuesday night was typical. I stayed up proofing floor plans while Matt texted, running late, wrapping reports now. Midnight passed. At 12:47 a.m., my phone pinged again, exhausted, on my way. Relief flickered until I heard a crash outside. Our trash bins had toppled in the wind. I slipped on Matt's hoodie, headed to the driveway, and saw his SUV parked awkwardly, headlights still on. He wasn't inside. Engine humming, driver's door ajar. "Matt," I called, heart racing. No answer. Maybe he'd rushed inside for the bathroom. I reached to turn off the ignition, and that's when I saw it. A perfect swipe of crimson on the beige leather seat. Shiny, fresh, unmistakably not mine. I haven't worn red since our college days. My blood ran cold. I touched it with a tissue, still wet. Panic morphed into icy clarity. I snapped a photo, pocketed the tissue, and closed the car quietly. Inside, Matt was already in the shower, steam curling under the bathroom door. My mind spun. Who had been in that passenger seat? Who wore that lipstick? And why was he suddenly showering at 1 a.m.? When Matt walked into the bedroom, towel around his waist, I forced my voice steady. "Trash bins blew over," I said. "You okay? You look flushed." He flashed a tired smile. "Long day, babe. Warehouse AC broke, sweating like crazy, needed a quick rinse." Lie number 1. Looking back now, I see how denial staged its first defense. I told myself maybe a coworker hitched a ride, maybe she retouched makeup in his mirror, maybe I was paranoid. But denial cracked when I found the receipt. Wednesday morning, while Matt snored, I rifled through the center console. Under a pile of gas slips, I found a bar receipt timestamped 11/18. 2 margaritas, 1 old-fashioned, an appetizer sampler for 2, maybe 3 people. Location: the Ember Lounge, 20 miles from his office. I snapped another photo, heart pounding. Matt's overtime was happy hour. With whom? That night, I placed the lipstick-stained tissue on the kitchen island, next to the receipt. When Matt trudged in at 10, he froze. "What's this?" His voice tried for casual but cracked. "You tell me," I said softly, arms folded. He stared at the tissue, then the receipt, then me. "Look, Jordan, it's not what you think. A vendor dinner ran late, someone rode shotgun, she dropped her lipstick. I meant to tell you." Lie number 2. I raised an eyebrow. "Vendor dinner at a bar, and you meant to tell me after showering at 1 a.m. His jaw tightened. "I'm exhausted. Can we talk tomorrow?" Tomorrow, classic stalling tactic. I nodded, but inside, a switch flipped. If he wouldn't give me the truth, I'd dig it up myself. That night, while Matt slept, I backed up his phone to my laptop. Years of organizing corporate galas taught me digital sleight of hand. I scrolled through call logs, multiple late-night numbers unsaved but frequently dialed. I traced one through a reverse lookup site. Amber Harris, 29, sales rep for a craft spirits distributor. The vendor. My stomach lurched. Photos revealed nothing, Matt was careful, but buried texts told a different story. Amber had fun tonight. Same time Thursday, wear that shirt I like winking face. Matt can't wait, miss those lips already. Those lips, red. I snapped screenshots, hands shaking, tears blurring the screen. My marriage was cracking open, one chat at a time. Looking at Matt sleeping peacefully, I felt a surge of anger so sharp it surprised me. But grief soon followed, our shared Netflix nights, our inside jokes, the plans for a lake house someday. All suddenly tainted. I crept into the bathroom, stared at myself in the mirror. "Don't crumble," I whispered. "Get proof, get answers." I opened a private email, dumped every screenshot, receipt, and photo into a folder labeled Truth. Because the hunt had begun, and I would chase every hidden chat, every clandestine charge on our joint Amex, every unexplained mile on the odometer, no matter the cost. Even if the cost was losing the man I thought I knew. Looking back now, I see that lipstick wasn't just a stain, it was my wake-up call. One message changed everything, and I wish I never opened it. But since I did, there was no turning back, only forward into the spiral of secrets that would soon unravel all our lives. I sat on the edge of the bed that night, scrolling through the Cheater Check subreddit like it was a medical textbook, and I was looking up symptoms. Post after post described lipstick on collars, phantom overtime, phantom conference trips. The parallels were eerie. One woman wrote, "Your gut is a built-in lie detector, trust it." I finally locked my phone at 3 a.m., yet sleep wouldn't come. Instead, I found myself cataloging Matt's recent quirks. The new citrus cologne, the sudden gym membership despite hatting treadmills, his phone forever face down. Puzzle pieces that once felt random now clicked into a single, damning picture. Morning light hit me like a hangover, no alcohol, just betrayal coursing through my veins. Matt kissed my forehead before leaving for another overtime push. I forced a smile, tasted iron. The moment the door clicked shut, I sprang into mission mode. First stop, our joint bank portal. I'd managed budgets for events twice the size of our marriage. Tracing expenses was my superpower. Recent charges, Uber rides looping nowhere near his office, dinner tabs at Ember Lounge on 3 different Thursdays, and a Venmo payment tagged tropical drink. I screenshotted every line. Next, the mileage log. Matt prides himself on tracking gas for tax write-offs, so he kept a neat spreadsheet in our cloud folder. I compared odometer entries to Google mapped routes, 10, sometimes 20 extra miles round trip on overtime nights. More proof. I needed eyes on him. Enter Daria, the AV coordinator from work and my ride or die gossip hound. I called her between meetings. "Girl, I need a favor bigger than the Met Gala donor list," I whispered. "Oh my God, what happened?" she gasped. "Cheating, red lipstick, I'm starting surveillance." She didn't hesitate. GPS tracker or AirTag, I have both. That evening, Daria swung by under the guise of dropping sample linens. Matt greeted her, oblivious. While he fetched wine, she slipped a micro AirTag under the passenger seat mat. We exchanged a subtle nod, operation activated. Thursday, Amber's suggested date arrived. Matt left at 6 p.m., pecked my cheek. I opened the tracker app the second he turned the corner. A blue dot moved downtown, nowhere near his warehouse. It stopped outside the Ember Lounge at 6:42 p.m. I texted Daria, "Target acquired." She replied, "I'm 5 blocks away. Want visual?" My pulse hammered, yes. 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Daria had snapped a photo from her car. Matt on the patio, laughing, hand resting on a brunette's knee, lipstick red as warning lights. Amber. Seeing it hurt more than all the receipts combined. I typed, erased, retyped a dozen messages to Matt before settling on silence. Let him dig deeper. He stumbled home at 1 a.m., smell of tequila masked by mint. "Long night," he mumbled. I watched him retreat to the shower again. The anger inside me crystallized into resolve, time to confront the other woman. Friday afternoon, I marched into Ember Lounge in a tailored blazer and heels sharp enough to slice guilt. Amber stood behind the bar, polishing a glass. Up close, her lipstick was the same scandalous shade, her smile unaware. "Amber Harris," I said, voice calm but lethal. She brightened. "That's me. How can I help?" "I'm Matt Ellis's wife." Her smile shattered. The glass slipped, clattered into the sink. I didn't know he was married," she stammered, color draining. I arched an eyebrow. Text history says otherwise. I slid my phone across the bar, screenshots glowing. She skimmed them, face crumpling. "Look, he said you were separated," she whispered, tears welled. "I swear he told me you were filing for divorce." I almost laughed, classic cheater script. Instead, I leaned in. Whether you knew or not, this ends tonight. You stay away from him, or the next screenshots go to your boss, your HR, and every vendor you court. She nodded, tears spilling. You have my word. I slipped out before my composure cracked. In the cab home, shock morphed to grief, grief to rage, rage to icy strategy. Love was gone, evidence mattered now. That night, Matt came home early with takeout like nothing happened. I set 2 envelopes on the table, one with printed screenshots, receipts, mileage logs, the other blank save for a single line, divorce papers will follow. Vacate by Monday. I didn't need a dramatic confrontation. The proof spoke louder than any scream. He opened the first envelope, eyes widening, color draining. Jordan, I can explain. I held up a hand. Don't, every lie is cataloged. I deserve peace, and you'll give it to me by leaving. He sank into a chair, voice breaking. Please don't do this. Do you love her? I asked, surprising us both. His silence was answer enough. I nodded, tears threatening but held back. Then go, chase whatever you think love looks like now. As he packed a bag, I stood in the doorway, memories fluttering like burned photographs. Our wedding dance, lazy Sunday pancakes, whispered dreams of kids. Ashes, all of it. When the door closed behind him, I slid down the wall, finally sobbing. But beneath the grief lay a fierce relief. The hunt was over, the truth uncovered, the next chapter mine to write. Looking back now, I see the lipstick wasn't just a stain. It was a spotlight exposing cracks I'd ignored. Love needs trust. I only learned that when I lost it. And while I'd chosen truth over marriage, the hardest part still lay ahead, rebuilding me from the rubble he left behind. On my drive to Ember Lounge, I rehearsed a dozen confrontation scenarios. In the mildest one, Amber apologized, swore to disappear, and handed me a heartfelt letter promising restitution. In the wildest, she threw her drink in my face, screamed, "He loves me now," and started a brawl that went viral on TikTok. Reality was quieter, just heartbreak hiding behind a smear of Mac, Ruby Woo. Yet even that silence felt cinematic. Clinking glassware, the low hum of bar lights, my pulse keeping frantic time. Later, when I replayed the encounter, I realized I'd crossed an invisible line, from shocked wife to reluctant detective willing to weaponize poise. Looking back now, I see leaving wasn't the hardest step, staying gone was. The first morning after Matt moved out, I woke to eerie silence. No coffee grinder, no Spotify acoustic playlist, no gentle morning, just the refrigerator hum and my own heartbeat. I poured cereal, doom-scrolled, and nearly choked on a headline. Local logistics manager promoted to regional director. Matt's smug photo beamed at me from the business section. Regional director meant a pay bump, one he'd never mentioned. My eyes narrowed. What else had he hidden? I logged into our joint savings. Balance, $378.62. Yesterday it was over 10 grand. Rage shot through me. He'd siphon money knowing I'd kick him out. I called the bank. Unauthorized transfer, I said through clenched teeth. The rep read off the destination, a brand new account under Matthew Ellis and Associates LLC, his secret slush fund. Oh my God, seriously? I muttered, fists shaking. I snapped screenshots and emailed them to my attorney friend Nadia. Subject, more Matt lies, help. Nadia rang within minutes. We'll file an emergency injunction Monday. In the meantime, open a new account in your name only. Move every direct deposit. I spent the afternoon on damage control, changing passwords, freezing credit, digging through old statements. That's when I uncovered a second phone line on our Verizon bill dating back 9 months. I called the number. It went straight to voicemail. Amber's voice, cheerful, carefree. The burner line. By dusk, exhaustion slammed me. I curled on the couch, clutching my laptop like armor. Emma dropped by with Thai food and her trademark no-bull energy. He drained the savings, I blurted, left me with grocery money. Emma's eyes blazed. Let me at him. I laughed, first real laugh in days. Focus that rage on chocolate cake, I said, pulling 2 forks. Mid-chew, Emma paused. Have you told your parents? Shame prickled. Not yet, they love Matt or they did. She squeezed my hand. Truth is truth, they'll choose you. That night, I dialed Mom. Tears welled as soon as I heard her voice. Mom, Matt's been cheating. I filed for divorce. Silence, then her steady warmth. I'm booking a flight. We'll weather this together. Relief washed over me. Next morning, my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Jordan, it's Amber. Need to meet urgent. My thumb hovered. Curiosity won. We met at a quiet park. Amber approached in oversized sunglasses, anxiety radiating. Matt told me you were draining his accounts, she blurted. I barked a laugh. Projection much, he emptied mine. She bit her lip. He also said you cheated first, that you're vindictive. Heat rushed to my cheeks. Do I look vindictive, Amber, or does he just spin new lies for each audience? Tears pooled in her eyes. I'm pregnant. 3 words detonated between us. He promised we'd be a family, but since you kicked him out, he's ghosting me, except to say you're ruining his life. My stomach twisted, another betrayal seed sprouting. Listen, I said, voice steadier than I felt. Protect yourself, lawyer up. He'll charm, then discard, ask me how I know. She nodded, sobbing. We sat in uneasy silence until she whispered, I'm sorry for the lipstick. I almost smiled. Not your shade of guilt alone. Back home, I entered all new evidence: bank theft, burner phone, pregnancy claim into the truth folder. The spiral tightened, but I felt strangely calm. Each lie documented was one brick in the wall I'd used to keep him out. Sunday evening, Mom arrived, enveloping me in a hug that smelled of lavender and childhood safety. We spent hours sorting closets, boxing Matt's leftovers. As we sealed the last carton, thunder rumbled outside. Mom looked at me, eyes proud. Sometimes storms clear the air, honey. I exhaled, shoulders lighter. The storm was far from over: court filings, property battles, a possible paternity suit. Yet for the first time, I believed I could navigate it. Because love needs trust, and once trust is gone, all that's left is truth, and I owned plenty of that now. Looking back now, I see part 3 wasn't about new lies, it was about reclaiming power. I couldn't stop Matt's betrayal, but I could stop being collateral damage. And as the storm gathered outside my window, I felt ready, papers filed, family beside me, truth folder thick as armor, for whatever lightning strike came next. Mom's arrival turned my apartment into a command center. She labeled evidence folders with color-coded Post-its: yellow for bank fraud, blue for a fair timeline, pink for emotional damages. Her idea: judges are human, let them feel what he did to you. Every night we debriefed over decaf, her southern drawl soft but unyielding. Baby, closure isn't just knowing the truth, it's proving you deserved better all along. I hadn't let myself cry in front of her since middle school, but that line cracked me open. We ended up on the kitchen floor, both in PJs, both laughing, crying at how a $12 lipstick tube had upended 2 lives and maybe saved mine. Monday arrived like a gauntlet. I woke before dawn, dressed in a blazer that felt more like armor, and met Nadia at the courthouse. We filed an emergency injunction to freeze any account Matt touched. The clerk stamped the motion while I tried not to shake. By noon, a judge had granted a temporary freeze pending a hearing. Step 1, secure finances. Step 2, confrontation. Mom insisted on coming with me to the condo so we could photograph assets for the divorce inventory. We unlocked the door to find the place ransacked, drawers pulled out, closet half empty, Matt's golf clubs gone. He'd been back. Fury flared, but Mom's calm voice grounded me. Pictures first, anger later. We documented everything: missing electronics, empty jewelry box, the safe cracked open and vacant. I photographed the carnage, each click fueling my resolve. While I sifted through paperwork, Mom found an unfamiliar padded envelope under the bed. Inside, a hospital wristband and ultrasound photos labeled Amber Harris, 11 weeks. A sticky note in Matt's handwriting read, "Our fresh start." My stomach clenched. He'd planned a future with her and siphoned our money to bankroll it. That evening, I messaged Amber, found evidence of Matt's plans, Ultrasounds dated 11 weeks. He emptied our accounts to fund your fresh start. She replied within seconds. He told me you took the money. I'm done with his lies. What do we do? We agreed on mutual cooperation. She'd testify about his deception if needed. I'd share financial findings so her lawyer could pursue support. Betrayed wives and pregnant girlfriends, unlikely allies, but united against a master manipulator. Tuesday, Matt blew up my phone. How dare you freeze my accounts? I can't pay rent. I ignored him. Minutes later, we need to talk or I'll ruin you. Screenshot, truth folder. Threats would look great in court. At work, I tried to focus on a gala proposal, but anxiety pulsed. Why hadn't Matt confronted me in person? What was he planning? Just before lunch, Nadia called. Brace yourself. Matt's lawyer filed a motion claiming you drained marital funds and that freezing the accounts jeopardizes his unborn child. My jaw dropped. He turns his crime into my fault and uses Amber's pregnancy as leverage. Classic deflection, Nadia said. We'll counter with evidence. Judge will see through it. Still, the audacity rattled me. On the drive home, I blasted angry pop anthems, singing until my throat hurt. Turning onto our street, I spotted Matt's SUV blocking my driveway. My pulse spiked. Mom was inside. Was she safe? I parked up the block, hit record on my phone, and approached. Matt stood on the porch, face red, fist pounding the door. Mom cracked it open a sliver. Matthew, Jordan isn't here. Leave. He spotted me and stormed down the steps. Freezing my money, colluding with Amber, you've gone insane. I raised my phone. You're being recorded. Step back. He sneered. You always need an audience, don't you? Fine, let's perform. He spread his arms theatrically. Yes, I cheated. Yes, I took the money, our money, to support my child. If you were a decent wife, you'd understand. Heat rushed to my cheeks. Decent wives don't bankroll their husbands' affairs. He scoffed. Maybe if you'd been around more, less work trips, more bedroom time. Oh my God, seriously, I barked a harsh laugh. Blame me for your lack of integrity. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Mom stepped between us. Matthew, leave before we call the police. He pointed at me, eyes wild. This isn't over, Jordan. You'll regret making me the enemy. He stomped to his car and roared off. Mom exhaled shakily. You okay? I nodded, though my hands trembled. He just gave us more evidence. I stopped the recording, immediately backing it up. That night, loneliness pressed heavy. I scrolled our old photos, Matt kissing my cheek at Navy Pier, laughing as we assembled IKEA shelves. I almost missed that man, but I reminded myself he never existed. Closing the album, I opened a fresh document titled What I Lost, What I Will Gain. Under Lost, I listed, trust, partner, shared future, some savings, illusion. Under Gain, self-respect, freedom, truth, new boundaries, maybe eventual peace. Seeing the second column grow steadier, then the first calmed me. Wednesday, Amber texted. Matt showed up at my apartment screaming that I betrayed him. I filed a protective order. I replied with solidarity emojis and forwarded Nadia the update. Friday, the court hearing for the account freeze arrived. Matt swaggered in wearing a suit I'd bought him last Christmas. His attorney argued I'd frozen funds maliciously, citing maternal health risks. Nadia presented bank records, AirTag logs, screenshots, and Amber's sworn statement. The judge barely needed 5 minutes. Injunction upheld. Matt ordered to pay temporary spousal support and return half the missing assets or face contempt. Outside the courtroom, Matt glared, but his bravado cracked. You turned everyone against me, he hissed. No, I said quietly, you did that yourself. As he walked away, shoulders slumped, I felt the strangest mix of grief and relief. Grief for the love I'd imagined, relief that justice, however small, was real. That evening, Mom and Emma joined me for Chinese takeout in my half-furnished apartment. We toasted with paper cups of cheap wine. I realized the laughter around that tiny table felt truer than any elaborate date night I'd shared with Matt in years. Looking back now, I see Part 4 was the pivot from reaction to reclamation. The crisis still loomed, property division, divorce trial, Amber's baby. But I'd stopped chasing Matt's lies. Instead, I was building something new. A life anchored in truth, guarded by fierce allies, and guided by a lesson burned into my heart. Love needs trust, and I deserve nothing less. After the courthouse win, I celebrated by taking myself to a Cubs game, something Matt always promised and never planned. I bought nosebleed seats, Chicago dog in one hand, overpriced beer in the other, and cheered like a fanatic even though I barely understood the infield fly rule. Mid-seventh inning, fireworks burst for a home run, and I realized I was joyful. Not pretend joyful, but joyful. It hit me that Matt hadn't stolen that feeling. I had misplaced it, letting routine bury spontaneity. I texted Emma a selfie, ketchup-stained, grinning ear to ear. She replied, "That's the revenge glow." Revenge? Maybe. Mostly it felt like resurrection. 2 months later, the divorce trial loomed, but I no longer felt like prey. Nadia had assembled a fortress of evidence. Amber's deposition sealed the narrative. Matt forged expense reports, funneled company funds into their dates, and doctored warehouse overtime logs. When Nadia subpoenaed his employer, the logistics firm launched its own audit. Matt was promptly suspended. The regional director, Glow, vanished overnight. I found out from Amber, who texted, "He lost the job, says it's your fault." I replied, "Actions meet consequences." She sent back a single blue heart, our strange little alliance holding steady. The same week, Mom helped me move the last boxes into my new loft. Exposed brick, tall windows, and zero memories of Matt. We christened it with takeout pizza and a toast of sparkling cider, Mom's idea. Save real champagne for the final decree. As night settled, I stood on the balcony watching city lights pulse like a heartbeat, mine steady again. Then came the letter. It arrived Saturday morning, plain envelope, no return address. Inside, a single sheet, positive paternity, Matthew Ellis is not the biological father. Beneath, a sticky note, "I'm so sorry." Amber, my knees buckled. What? I rang Amber. She answered on the first sob. Between tears, she explained. After Matt's job imploded, he'd lashed out, accusing her of trapping him. She demanded a prenatal paternity test. Results proved the baby wasn't his. Turns out she'd hooked up with an ex weeks before meeting Matt. Her voice cracked. "I never lied intentionally. I truly thought it was his." Shock coursed through me, then an unexpected laugh, hollow but cleansing. Matt had detonated our marriage for a child that wasn't even his. The universe's dark humor. Sunday, Matt showed up outside my building, eyes bloodshot, clothes rumpled. I stepped onto the lobby threshold, phone recording again. "You ruined my life," he rasped. I raised an eyebrow. "Funny, I just learned you wrecked our marriage for a kid that isn't yours." His face crumpled. "She lied to me." "And you lied to me," I replied calmly. "Chain of deceit complete." He dropped to the steps, head in hands, mumbling about losing everything. I felt a pang, pity, not love. "Matt, you didn't lose everything because of me or Amber. You lost it when you chose lies over loyalty." I handed him a pamphlet Nadia had prepared, legal aid, counseling numbers, steps for bankruptcy protection. "Get help. Stay away from me." Court week arrived. With paternity bombshell in the judge's file, Matt's leverage crumbled. He agreed to a no-contest divorce, surrendered his claim to the condo, now rental income for me, and accepted a modest debt repayment plan. As the gavel fell, I exhaled a year's worth of tension. Afterward, Amber met me at a cafe. She looked weary but lighter. "I'm moving back to Denver to raise the baby near my parents," she said. "Thank you for pushing me to test truth instead of clinging to lies." We hugged, a bizarre but genuine goodbye. Life's strangest friendships are forged in shared wreckage. That evening, Emma and Mom dragged me to a rooftop bar. Under string lights, they presented a tiny box, inside, a silver lipstick charm. Emma grinned. "A reminder that one smear of red can start a revolution, and you survived it." I laughed, tears in my eyes. "To revolutions," I toasted, the city skyline blazing behind us. Looking back now, I see the final twist wasn't the paternity test. It was the realization that my worth was never tied to Matt's fidelity or anyone's validation. Some lessons cost everything you once thought was secure, but they pay out in unshakable self-trust. Love needs truth. I only learned that when the lies collapsed. Now, standing in my own space, future wide open, I know I didn't just survive the spiral, I climbed it, step by painful step, into a life that's truly mine. Nadia and I prepped trial strategy like a Netflix true crime duo. She drilled me on potential cross-examination. What if opposing counsel insinuates you monitored Matt's phone illegally? I'll say marital property, shared plan, Illinois precedent. At one point she paused, studying me over her glasses. You realize you could write a masterclass on evidence gathering? I laughed, but the idea stuck. That night I drafted a blog post, 5 red flag receipts you're overlooking. Hit publish before I could chicken out. By morning, it had 1,000 views and 3 interview requests from relationship podcasts. I wasn't just surviving, I was repackaging pain into playbook American Hustle style. I never expected freedom to feel quiet. The divorce decree arrived by certified mail on a rainy Thursday, one crisp sheet ending 9 years of us. I held it under the kitchen pendant light, watching droplets slide down the window and realizing I wasn't sad, just still. That weekend, I drove to Lake Michigan alone, something Matt and I always planned, but never did. I parked, kicked off my shoes, and stepped onto cold sand. Wind whipped my hair as gulls shrieked overhead. I dug the lipstick charm necklace from my coat pocket, rubbing the tiny tube between my fingers. Looking back now, I see every stage of the spiral in that charm. The hook, a single smear of red that rewrote reality. The setup, years of comfortable routine masking widening cracks. The break, receipts, screenshots, and one bartender's smirk. The spiral, frozen accounts, courtrooms, and a pregnant girlfriend who was. The twist, paternity results proving betrayal even cheats on itself. And finally, this moment, the moral. I opened my notes app and typed. Love needs trust. I only learned that when I lost it. Some lessons cost you everything you once thought was secure. But what's left is unbreakable. Self-respect, clear boundaries, and the courage to start again. A wave crashed, spraying my jeans. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. On Monday, I walked into HR and requested a month's sabbatical. My boss, who'd quietly tracked my meltdown and rebound, smiled. "Where to?" she asked. "Europe," I said. A solo tour of venues I've only ever booked for clients, Paris gardens, Tuscan villas, Edinburgh castles. I'm finally throwing the party for myself. That night, I boxed up the last evidence folder, screenshots, bank statements, court transcripts. Instead of shoving it in a closet, I slid it into the shredder, watching confetti flutter like liberation. Mom called, voice warm, "How's our warrior?" "Heading to Paris," I grinned. "You and Emma promised to visit." "Front row at your rebirth," she said. Before bed, I placed the lipstick charm on my nightstand. It glinted under lamplight, no longer a symbol of ruin but a badge of survival. A reminder that one tiny clue can topple lies, but also set you free. As I drifted off, I imagined standing on a Parisian balcony, sunrise painting the Seine gold, and felt it, peace edged with anticipation. The spiral was over. The next story was mine to script. Because in the end, a red stain didn't break me. It revealed me, stronger, wiser, utterly uncompromising about the love I give and the love I accept. And that, I realized, is the truest happily ever after. Paris greeted me with drizzle, espresso, and the smell of fresh baguettes. On day 2, I toured a chateau venue I'd only ever pitched to clients. The guide asked, "Madame, are you planning a wedding?" I almost said not anymore, but instead I smiled. "Planning a celebration, guest list of 1. She laughed, gave me a free macaron, and snapped a Polaroid of me twirling beneath a crystal chandelier. That photo now hangs on my loft's fridge beside the lipstick charm. Some visitors assume it's an engagement memento. I let them. Because the truth is better. It marks the moment I married my own future, vowed to honor, cherish, and above all, trust myself till death do us part.